I'm Jeremy White. The Bills have 99 problems and Bijan's one.
I'm Joe Marino, and the Buffalo Bills have a lot of questions. They're going to get a lot of criticism, and it's all deserved.
This is the big O, Jerry Ostroski. My former offensive line coach, Carl Mock, used to say it was called Ford over Rooster. In layman's terms, the Bills got their butts whipped. This is the Locked On Network, and you're watching Bill Squad.
Who's ready, Bills Mafia? It's the Bills Squad. Everything Buffalo Bills, every week. Breaking down the big hits and game-changing plays the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So gear up and squad up. The Bills Squad show starts now.
And welcome in, Bills Mafia. It's the Bills Squad show. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and Jerry Ostroski. The Bills lose 24-14 in Atlanta. A tale of two halves, a tale of bad offense, a tale of bad defense, a big special teams play along the way, and an Atlanta team that might have been begging to kind of give it away and get beat, and the Bills could never get back in it and could never do so. They lose. We'll talk about it with you, break down everything, get to some of the injuries because there are major injuries to keep an eye on. This episode brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, gentlemen, we've got lots to get to. We could go in order. How bad the defense was, how bad the offense was, how bad Sean McDermott was. I've got numbers on that. I endlessly tell you he's pretty good on fourth down decisions. He was a disaster in this game in that department. What went right? A field goal block got kicked into Greg Rousseau's armpit. Outside of that, it wasn't much. Joe, start us off. Frustrations, like what's top of mind for you, because there's a lot to get to.
Oh, man. Disappointed. Really disappointed. The message that I had in the final episode of Locked On Bills is that I was excited to see what type of urgency that this team showed on Monday night with the bye ahead and not wanting to go into it, dropping 2 games in a row. And boy, I didn't get that question answered very well. I have a lot of questions about this football team, and when you talk about it being a tale of two halves, where defensively you don't have a pulse in the first half, and then you have a complete pulse in the second half, and your offense can't do anything. It's just they don't play off each other well. This is just not a team that's very cohesive, that plays very poor complementary football. And this team's 4-2, and they were 4-2 last year with ugly losses to Houston and Baltimore. I don't know about this team. They have so much that they need to prove to us. And honestly, this is a team that's probably on fraud alert right now based on what they've showed us through 6 games.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is a team that had a chance to come back and right the wrongs of last week. Obviously, they did not. You're starting to see a roster, especially on defense, that is small, that is slow, that is old, that is injury prone. And that's not a good combination. A defense that just cannot figure out how to make plays in the defensive secondary. Then you have an offense with Josh Allen, the reigning MVP, that is frustrated, trying to grasp at straws to try to find ways to make plays because they just don't have anybody that can make plays at receiver right now with Dalton Kincaid out, and then the Palmer injury during this game. And I want to say this early. We like to jump on coaching. We like to jump on schemes. We like to jump on all this. We just had another different coach. Folks, at one point in time on defense, I mean, our average age probably was the oldest in the NFL at some point in time when you start talking about Phillips and White and some of the guys they had on that thing. I don't know if this is a schematic issue as much as it is a roster issue. I said it last year. I thought the roster wasn't good enough. And at 4-2, I still don't think the roster is good enough. And thank goodness we're coming to a bye week. We're going to get an injection of new players. Hopefully this can spark this defense to find some things. And then in the meantime, you got to pray that guys like Kincaid and Palmer get healthy, because it's obvious they just don't have it in the passing game to be able to separate and make plays when they need to. And it's a shame because you can see the frustration now in Josh Allen on the sidelines. Defense found a way to get stops in the second half. Offense just couldn't make plays and score.
Well, it just feels like this is a loss, right? And one thing that I always try to say is it's never one thing. And I believe that it's never one thing, but people tend to find the thing that they're most passionate about and really be a champion for that cause. Well, guess what? Everyone's a winner. Whatever concern you think is the biggest one, whether it's playmaking at receiver, whether it's how the offense is called, Josh Allen and his approach, defensively scheme, defensively personnel, defensively too small, defensively too slow, whatever you think it is, you're right. Right now, you are right about it. And you have compounding questions, compounding issues. And I mean, I kind of said I'm curious to see what this team looks like tonight. I'll be curious to see what they look like coming out of the bye. There's a lot of season left. I mean, it's not over, but my goodness, the questions are mounting, and I don't feel like I'm gaining any confidence.
We've got a lot to get to about this game. Jerry, I want to ask you, going to the bye, riding a high versus going to the bye on 2 straight losses, like, is there a silver lining there? Like, all right, we can kind of get a reset here. Or is it tougher because you got 2 straight losses and this taste in your mouth for an extra week?
Well, I would say normally on a normal team that has a bunch of depth and has players maybe that are backups that could push for starting time, it would be a point of angst for a player. But right now, when you look at this roster, give me anybody backing up that can push anybody in key positions. I don't see it. If anything, it gives the Bills an extra week to kind of self-check themselves, to self-scout, to look at themselves, see where they can get better. I would not doubt at this point in time, this isn't a fluke 4-2. The last 2 weeks, they handedly got beat.
Yeah.
And I look at this bye week, if we're going to see changes out of this football team, it's going to happen these next 2 weeks. You could see some different things. Maybe Sean McDermott has seen enough. He feels that he needs to inject himself in that defense. You know what I'm saying? As far as making play calls and things, there's going to be stuff like that. Joe Brady's call on the 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2 to run another fly sweep that flopped. There needs to be some self-reflection on that. So, yeah, I mean, if anything, this is a deal where the players maybe aren't like as nervous because there's guys behind them that can push them. I'm thinking that staff meeting tomorrow is going to be pretty stressful.
Yeah, McDermott called the offense too cute last week, and here they have a fumble on the 3rd down on that play to Elijah Moore. Like, he's not going to be happy. And guys, you know me, I'm someone that wants them to throw the ball all the time and whip it around the field, and I know they can't. And I thought the formula to get back in this game was to not get behind the sticks, run James Cook a lot. The first drive of the second half, we saw them do that, and I thought, all right, there's your formula. Pretend it's the first quarter and play like that. Get even, get a win, get out of town. And then they're taking a sack on 1st and 10, and that's over. Like, I thought that was very clear for Joe Brady. Here's what you've got to do, and he talked himself out of it.
Yeah, it's a great call out by you, Jeremy. That was what they needed to be able to do in this football game. The passing offense was just very unsettled, and I give it some grace because you don't have Dalton Kincaid, who's been your best weapon in the passing game, and then looks like Palmer was going to do things tonight, right? That was a good matchup. Atlanta wanted AJ Terrell on Keon Coleman, no idea why. To me, I mean these low percentage throws to Keon just do nothing for me. It's just a waste of a down. So you lose Palmer, right? And for whatever you think about Samuel, he's not available. And they were out of sync. And obviously Atlanta is aggressive with their pressure schemes, and Josh was confused. There's no question about it. And he was one-hopping 3rd down throws on shallows to Tyrell Shavers and just throw a normal ball out there to Ty Johnson, man, on the 4th down, dude.
Yeah.
I think you call it a good play there, and very disappointing for the Bills to not be able to convert that run to Elijah Moore because it was blocked up well, but the exchange wasn't very clean. And I think they've learned some hard lessons about those types of plays. They should have those types of plays, and just the fact that they're not repped enough to execute, right? You try to do it to Dawson Knox. It's not, no matter how many times you practice that, it's not repped enough. Elijah Moore, not repped enough. You pull Ryan Vandermark on the shuffle pass to Khalil Shakir, and the execution's poor. It's just it's wrong stuff, wrong time. And the Falcons tried so hard. They tried so hard to let the Bills win this game.
They did.
And every opportunity that the Bills had, the very first play defensively, you get the forced fumble. It's you force a turnover on the first play. Well, Greg Rousseau's lined up offsides. Later on, Joey Bosa gets a sack. Ed Oliver's offside. Shaq Thompson drops the pick 6 there at the end. The kicker kicks the ball into, like Jeremy said, into Greg Rousseau's armpit. That was getting blocked by the line. If Rousseau doesn't break through there, they did all the things. Drake London doesn't score on that play right before the half. You'd be down 2 scores or 3 scores at halftime. They did everything they could to give you a chance to get back in the game. And we talked about the Bills are the team that you can't make those mistakes against because they're going to make you pay, and they make them pay.
You know, it's funny. I'm thinking about my cold open halfway through the third. That's how much I think about that thing in advance. And I'm wondering if it's going to be Raheem Morris should be fired because he lost this football game with no reason to lose it. Everything was there for the Bills to take, and they continually killed themselves. Going back to the third down run where we tried the fly sweep or the fourth down run, whatever it was, you know, you look at that situation. What are the 3 best players on our offense? Well, Josh Allen's 1, James Cook is 2, and the other one's a position group. It's the offensive line, and none of them were involved in the play. None of them were involved in the play except Josh Allen handed the ball off. I have a problem with that. I've been told for years in the game of football, you give the ball to your best players in the tight situations, and they make plays. And we give it to a guy who was inactive last week. It doesn't make sense to me. And again, it's just a continuation. And Joe talked about the penalties and the mistakes. We continually get in our own damn way, and it's frustrating.
Game effectively kind of ends on a penalty where Jordan Phillips jumps offside as Atlanta. I don't know if they're going to run a play there or if they're just trying to get them to jump offside. Usually, I think they're trying to get you to jump. Atlanta might be a wimpy team, and they might be afraid of kicking a field goal. They ultimately do. But, you know, I guess part of the question, and this is something every Bills fan has to ask themselves, guys, so whoever wants to jump on it first, how much of an excuse does the defense have based on the number of players missing? At one point, Benford leaves, Terrell Bernard leaves, right? Oliver's back, but Daquan Jones gets hurt in warmups. Like, you are missing a lot of pieces. But that said, like, the secondary before Benford goes out, like, that's your secondary you've been rolling with for the most this point of the season. I'm seeing safeties miss tackles again. I kind of get crossed up because the defense has their share of players missing. Is it any grace, or is it just like it doesn't matter? You got to get the job done.
I think expectations should be higher. I think it's a layer to, hey, you acknowledge the shortcomings, but I mean, it wasn't hard to know that this team was going to get the ball to London and Bijan Robinson. Those guys go for 299 yards in the first half. Yeah. Now, big round of applause. Like, the defense played winning football in the second half, and they absolutely gave the offense a chance, and then the offense responded with 3 and outs after the defense got stopped. So, I think that's where I find a level of disappointment. I mean, really, the defense kind of did the things necessary to give themselves a chance. They had opportunities to get takeaways, and they shot themselves in the foot. I mean, it's a sloppy football team. It's not a disciplined football team. They don't do the right thing at the right time. And, I mean, the other teams have injuries too, you know, like nobody cares about your problems, right? It's a National Football League. It's results based. You either go out there and get stops and win football games, or you don't. And, I think they did a lot of good things in terms of how it came together late, but too big of a hole. And then obviously your offense does nothing. You score 7 points in the second half after you held them to 3 in the second half.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's frustrating. You know, talk about safety play. I feel bad for our safeties because they're in a blender every game. There's no like, I know that the run's going to get taken care of, so I can worry about the pass, or I know the pass is going to. They're in a blender every game. I mean, every play, it's like, who knows what's happening with the safeties and the way they have to play in this defense. But, you know, I just keep going back to the fact that this team, and I don't know if it's the process, I don't know if it's the weight room, I don't know if it's just straight bad luck. We got players that can't even get out of warmups. Now, granted, this weekend we saw a couple of these fluke deals. We saw the 2 in Indianapolis, the one guy get hit warming up, and then of course Richardson hits himself in the eye with a exercise band and has the orbital. But we can't get out of warmups. I've seen injuries before, and I've seen streaky injuries where, you know, it's calves 1 week or 1 year and it's knees another year. But our trainers need to get a raise because they're working probably harder than anybody, because every table in that room is filled, and it's wild to me, and it's frustrating. We can't stay healthy, and it's hard to overcome those things.
It's the Bill Squad show here. We're live on YouTube as we are after every game. You can join us here. Give us a like, a subscribe. Find us, of course, in the Locked On channel. We post the podcast there as well. We do our weekly show. We do our post-game show. We'll get a lot of your comments in. We got more than 2,000 people watching right now. When we get back, I want to talk about the offense, guys, because it's a second straight week of 4 punts in a row, which was previously unheard of for this unit. So we've got plenty to get to on the offense and their injuries, their problems. Play caller. I want to talk a lot about Keon Coleman and his spot here, because I think this game is a big spot to talk about him. So we'll do that. We'll get to your comments as well. This is the Locked On channel. It's the Bill Squad show. Bills fall 24-14 to the Atlanta Falcons. This episode is brought to you by Mizzen & Main. You know the saying, look good, feel good. The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. And with that, Mizzen & Main is your answer. So Mizzen & Main, let me tell you about it. It's classic menswear with performance fabrics. It's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, perfected it ever since. If you have something from Mizzen & Main, they're stretchy, moisture-wicking, wrinkle-resistant, machine-washable, no ironing, no dry cleaning. I got a nice button down from Mizzen & Main. Like to wear it out. Feels great, and nice look to it as well. Athletic wear, the feel, and the look of professional menswear. Right now, Mizzen & Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, MAIN.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen & Main stores in select states. This episode also brought to you by Supply House. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House. Next day delivery. Talk about a game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Join the free TradeMaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHNFL5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Bill Squad show rolling along here. The offense did not get the job done in the second half. The defense holds Atlanta to 3 in the second, and that's not enough for the offense to ever even tie the game. We'll talk about their shortcomings, whether it's Josh Allen that was rattled by the blitzes in the pass rush, and, of course, separation in the passing game. They're talking it on the broadcast. Louis Riddick saying it. Dan Orlovsky saying it. Feels to be a common refrain about this team. They don't separate. And I know it might be asking a lot of Keon Coleman guys, but in this spot, you need your young receiver to be able to take over a drive, not even a game, a drive, a possession. And he just offered them next to nothing tonight. And I think it's a big indicator of whatever your vision for Coleman, what it might be, keep it in check, because I just don't think you can ever count on him to be the kind of guy that they really needed him to be tonight.
Right. I think Keon Coleman's always going to be like a very specific impact player in how he helps his football team. And he's going up against a good man coverage corner in AJ Terrell. And Keon's not a separator, right? So that's just there's going to more times than not, I'm going to say it's not a great matchup for Keon Coleman because the skill set, right? The skill set doesn't lend itself to separating against good man corners. And usually some team is going to have a good man corner for him to go up against. And so you're relying on scramble drills. And, well, that didn't happen because Josh Allen couldn't find any space to really operate on a lot of times. It was in rhythm, or he had to go and chuck it, or really try to heave a ball that, he's got guys all over him trying to make something happen. And so Keon's a limited player. And so he's going to be able to help you only in limited ways. And with Kincaid and Palmer out, boy, he's just not the type of player that is going to go get you buckets just because of the style of play that he offers.
I think that the way he started the season, he had some momentum to him. He made some plays early. He kind of had a little bit of confidence to him. Whatever happened with this disciplinary issue, and he doesn't start, it seems like he's back down in the dauber again. Like he's kind of down. He doesn't have the confidence. You saw it tonight. I don't think that he went out and commanded the football. He's a back shoulder guy. He's a high point guy. He's an in traffic guy, period. End of discussion. He's not going to run go balls. He's not going to run deep flags or posts. That's not what he does. He needs to be physical. He needs to be in the mix. But yet we put him in situations where he's not in those types of routes. And I don't know if that's more on Brady, on him. But for whatever reason, when you watched him pre-discipline, he was a different receiver than he was tonight. Tonight, he still looked like he was thinking about last week not starting. And you can't have that out of a pro. You just can't have it.
Do the way the Bills line up as a receiver group, are they too easy to understand what they're going to do? There's a play on like a 3rd and 18 maybe where they throw to Shakir, and the Falcons kind of give them 9 yards there. And the thing I wondered is it looked, Joe, you mentioned A.J. Terrell's got Keon Coleman on the one side. On the other side, it's zone coverage on that side. And like I feel like when the Bills line up as a defense, this is Atlanta, anybody else, you could say like, all right, we know what that guy's going to be doing, and we know what these guys are going to be doing. The whole thing to me seems like since their wide receivers are almost so
specialized,
so role specific that it makes things predictable.
Yeah, specialization increases predictability, right? So you know what that guy's going to do and what he's not going to do, and it makes it a lot easier to play defense. I think that it's fair to say that Joe Brady does a pretty poor job of tapping into the versatility of the players that he has. And I think you foil that against what Atlanta does, right? They have 2 really great players in Drake London and Bijan Robinson. They line up outside, they line up inside, they line up in the backfield. That's the thing, is there's nowhere to hide, right? And so those types of playmakers are put in different spots and gets different matchups. How many times did you see Drake London just find space and the guy making the tackle is a linebacker and a safety? You might think to yourself, well, geez, why is Terrell Bernard covering Drake London, or why is Cole Bishop? But that's because when you move players around, you find yourself in more favorable matchups, and that's just something that we haven't seen the Bills do with Joe Brady. And I think that's a big meat on the bone that's being left, especially when you think about the James Cook as a guy that can really play in a lot of different spots. And even Keon doesn't have to exclusively be an X receiver. He would benefit sometimes from being in the slot, but that doesn't seem like something we're interested in.
Didn't we see Cook being used in the passing game much more when Brady started the job? I feel like when he got it, we saw Cook going out being used in Kansas City, like on runs down a seam and just moved out wide, and we are not seeing it.
Dropped all those passes, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But here's the deal. We don't keep the back end, and this is and I texted you guys during the game about this. You're bringing multiple pressures. We don't keep the damn back end to block anyway, right? And we don't pick up protections. We want to get the extra guy in, but it's almost like an afterthought. We don't utilize them in that means. So why are we even leaving? Why are we taking them out in the route? Keep them in and let them block. But I want to go back to what you're talking about, separation and receivers. The first route of the game in 6 games that the Buffalo Bills have played, the first route of the game to Josh Palmer was the first route I think you could really go to this season and go, that was a really good route. That was a receiver creating space by leaning into the corner as he was going down the field, leaning into him on the out, and then breaking back in and getting to that deep post to where we make that big play to Josh Palmer. Then, of course, he gets hurt after another big catch. Yeah. That is route running. That is how you do it. You press the corner to hold them up, then bend it back inside and create your own space. I don't see anybody. I don't see Shavers. I don't see Keon. I don't see anybody else. Now, Shakir is a different beast. He does what he does, and he does it very, very well. That's what he does is his game. I'm not adding him in that list. But as far as the verticality type receivers we have, Palmer's the first one we've seen run a route this season that resembles good football.
Yeah, Palmer's got that in him. It's just a matter of incorporating it a little bit more. It felt like this was going to be the game, right? And then, boy, he gets hurt. I think there is some opportunity with Shakir down the field. I thought that, like, early in his career, the slot fades. I mean, that was definitely on the menu for him. And, Josh Allen made that incredible throw that Shakir couldn't get the second foot down. I think Shakir should have got NFL receivers get their second foot down on that play. But that does speak to, like, he can catch the ball over his shoulder. Like, there's other, he doesn't have to just be check it down to him and let him create. Like, Shakir's a good in structure player too. I would, and he loved that slot fade. Brady did at LSU, and maybe I guess anybody won when you have Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all those guys. But I think there's more for Shakir to do down the field, and it doesn't seem to be on the menu for him.
We saw. Sorry, Jerry.
I was going to say, let me ask you this, Joe. In your study of our receiver group and all of that, and we talk about Coleman playing slot, Can you flip him and Shakir and let Shakir play outside some? Does he have enough skill set out there to be viable playing outside some?
I think the challenge is he's going to get pressed into oblivion. He's got like 28.5-inch arms. He's got like 0 percentile wingspan. So if he's stressed with press, it's going to be he's going to work overtime for that.
That's why I asked you.
It's always, if I may, guys, a lot of people are writing in the comments about the wide receiver conversation, which we've had many, many years, and Bills fans are probably well versed in. It's always been at the root of it. You can talk about a number one. The Bills for multiple years have not done much on the outside. And if you want to say Shakir and Coleman, who could do it on the inside as a big slot, and Kincaid, they have a plurality of options to play that position and an overabundance to play that position. And on the outside, it's just so barren. The fact that Palmer goes down to an injury, and if Palmer's not available for the next game, like your outside receivers are who? It's going to be Keon Coleman and Tyrell Shavers. Like that's your options. That's pretty bleak for on the outside. No NFL team will probably think that's legit. I mean, Shavers, whatever, he played a little bit today. So the whole mess of it is, are we waiting on Curtis Samuel to come back again? He plays a game and he's hurt again. Like it's a thin position. And I don't really know what the answer is, but they got a week and a half to think about it. They play Carolina, they play the Chiefs, and then it's the trade deadline if that's going to be something they're going to think about.
Elijah Moore had 2 targets in this game. You maybe point to him as a player that could help you, but he's been a healthy scratch, and he was in this game where you felt like maybe he could matter, and 2 targets and nothing to show for it.
Well, the funny thing is Bills Mafia, and people are going to say, well, we're going to get right when we play Carolina. That's a game we can win and get ready. You know what? Dowdell just ran for what? Dang near 200 yards against the Cowboys.
Yeah. So and they hadn't let anybody run on them. Yeah, they haven't let anybody run on them the last 2 weeks either. They shut down the Chargers and the Dolphins run game. Right. So you'd love to say, 5-2 reinforcements.
Right.
I don't know.
Nope. That's what I'm saying. It's not like Carolina's a layup. Not at all.
And then Kansas City.
Yeah. We saw Dawson Knox contribute. We saw Ray Davis again. Welcome back to the team. Ray Davis made a nice play for them. He got in a little bit here today in this game. The Bills lose 24-14 to the Falcons. We'll get you some other stats of the game because it's worth getting into. Drake London, 10 for 158 and a touchdown, 10 on 16 targets. Meanwhile, Bijan Robinson, 19 carries for 170 yards, an 81-yard touchdown. He got to the outside and got by Cole Bishop, who was the last line of defense. This is something that coming into the game, we knew to be afraid of, right? The Bills are not a good tackling team. We'll just say it. They are a terrible tackling team. And Bijan makes guys miss getting out of bed. He made 5 guys miss on a 6-yard run. Like he's a nightmare for this team. And I think he really highlights one of the biggest issues that they have and how poor of a tackling team they are.
I thought the front continued to play pretty well, too, on the D-line. I mean, how good was Deion Walker tonight? 4 tackles for loss. Ed Oliver made some impact. I thought Greg Rousseau was terrific in this football game. Probably the best we've seen. Landon Jackson look at. Yeah, those guys are playing fine, and they're going to get you're going to get Ogunjobi and Hoyt here afterwards. But the rest of it, man, it's just they're not good downhill players. And, I mean, look at that first touchdown run. Taylor Rapp was the middle of the field safety. Like, it wasn't a hard read. How does he undercut that? How does he undercut that angle? How? Because he doesn't want to tackle Tyler Argiel. I'll tell you why. He's been doing it all friggin' year, man. It's tough to see. It's tough to see. We talk about complementary football, but like within the units, right? Like it's not complementary defense on all 3 levels of the unit. It's pretty concerning.
Here's the thing that I think you want to look at. When you look at a young player like a Deion Walker, every week he's putting something on film. Every week he's putting stats out there. He's getting better and better as the games go on. Can we say that about some of these other guys? Can we say that about Keon? Can we say that about, I don't know. I think you can say it about Bishop. Like I said, I would hate to play safety in this defense. I really would. You're in a blender all the time. But when you look at a guy, you want to see progression. I got mad props for Deion Walker because here's the other thing about tonight. Without Daquan Jones, he probably played 20 more snaps than he normally does.
Yeah.
And he showed up. And you can win with that. And that group, and I'll say it again, that group I think is playing well. McDermott made the comment about gap control at halftime. I don't necessarily know he was talking about the D-line,
Oh. He
I'm
said
pretty
we got to
sure.
run an 8-man front. We
Right,
not
right,
your gap.
right,
Oh, what happens?
right.
You give up an 86-yard play.
I mean, and that's the other thing. It's like, we talk about, oh, they need to do this, coach. You need that. I mean, there's times when, they take Dorian Williams, walk into the end of the line of scrimmage, bump Bosa in, play a 5-man front. I mean, they're doing everything they can.
Right.
But guys you're relying on behind that front line to make plays, and I said at the beginning of the show, are old, are fragile, they're injury prone, and they're small. And I'm going to make a comment right now, and this might sound crazy, but if Terrell Bernard's out for an extended period of time, we very well might be better with Shaq Thompson starting a middle linebacker than we will with him.
Well, they were better in the second half without Terrell Bernard
Yes.
out there. Yeah, they were. Straight up better.
Now, Shaq needs to make that interception when it's there, but still.
They tried.
10 tackles, 5 solo, 1 tackle for loss, a pass defended. Come on now. This is an old guy that was forgotten about, that was brought on the roster to create backup space. And he's as productive as anybody on this defense. That should tell you something.
It's all kind of tough to take here, as the Bills' entire offseason was really about fixing their defense. And, they're missing a lot of pieces. Like, that's got to be said. They're missing a lot of pieces. On Rap, Joe, you were just, you've been on Rap a lot this year about how, whether it's reluctant or doesn't want to hit, and he and Bishop are not really vibing there together, however you want to get to it. Jerry, I'll ask you this. In the film room, the players seeing that? I mean, Rap's a leader on this team. He's a guy that's been on the team for a while. If they're seeing that, right? And what's that conversation? If this is a room with a team with good culture, good accountability, then that's got to be something that comes up.
Oh, no,
if they're seeing it the same way Joe is,
it'll come up. And the thing about it is, I guarantee a Rap is holding himself accountable for it. These guys, I don't think these guys are duck and run type guys. As much as it can hurt, as much as the production's not there and there's issues, they're not duck and run type guys. And they face the fire. They watch the film together and they understand. And I mean, they're trying to play well and trying to get better. I mean, you saw Terrell Bernard's face on the sideline. He was crushed that he couldn't play. He's trying to make plays. Sometimes it's just hard. You can't get out of the mud and you struggle. And maybe this is a little bit of a reset that some guys need.
I would guess that there's probably a level of urgency that doesn't help, right? When I think the conversations that we're having are not unlike the conversations that are being held at One Bills Drive. And how many times have we heard Sean McDermott lately say, "Hey, we have to have honest conversations," right?
Yeah.
I think that this is happening, and maybe when that's the case, and you feel this urgency for a team with expectations, you're not going out there playing free, and you're not playing your best football. I think that's a possibility, but bottom line is it's not good. It's not good enough.
But here's the other thing. And this to me is the biggest factor in all this. In the past, it never affected 17 and how he played. He found a way to get it done. It's now, to me anyway, you're seeing the inabilities of certain positions now truly affecting our quarterback and him making plays. And that's different.
It's a quote right now from Sean McDermott. It was too hard tonight on our quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
I also saw his answer to the third down jet sweep kind of thing to Elijah Moore. Said, "We can be better. We can be better." Last week he called that play they fumbled on a little cute, and this time we can be better. So, meetings at One Bills Drive should get spicy this week. All right, we're going to break in your comments. We'll get to your comments, and I didn't think of this, guys, until we're 15 minutes into this show. You looked at the standings?
Yeah.
Take a peek. Yeah. Take a peek, everybody. We'll get to that next here on the Bill Squad show on the Locked On Bills channel. This episode brought to you by Mazda. Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that you do more that put more than points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is any one of Bijan Robinson's monstrous runs, maybe the 81-yard touchdown run that was the biggest one. He moved the game forward quite a bit. Drake London had one that was ruled out at the 1-yard line that would have moved it pretty well forward for Atlanta as well. Those two went crazy tonight. And when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Jeremy White, Joe Marino, and the Big O, Jerry Ostroski here. Late night post-game show following the Bills' 24-14 loss to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons moved to 3-2. The Bills moved to 4-2. Some stats, and then I want to ask you guys about the standings and what we should make of it. But Josh Allen, 15-26 for 180, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, sacked 4 times. He's getting sacked more than he normally does. James Cook, 17 for 87. Josh Palmer led all receivers, 2 catches for 60 yards, and he left early in this game. He was 2 for 2 on 2 targets. Defensively, you got your Deion Walker, 4 tackles for loss. Not bad. Nice game from him. Good to see Ed Oliver back. 2 tackles for loss for Oliver. He was on the quarterback as well. Like a nice play for Oliver there. So Javon Solomon got in on the sack game. The Bills flustered Penix from time to time. And guys, it seems like this is a recurring theme. Like the pass rush is not actually that bad. It's just that things are so disjointed and terrible in the secondary that they only get so much time to find somebody. And pressure is great, but if the quarterback knows he's thrown into a wide open target, that pressure is going to be less effective. So might be a tale of that story again.
Yeah, I think these quarterbacks know where to find space, right? So you can get some good rush, you can get some good complementary rush, but if there's guys sitting in wide open space or winning one-on-one routes, like it's not going to matter that much. And so I think that's kind of a lost silver lining good thing about the Bills defense so far is the pass rush has been pretty solid. But yeah, you got to be able to hold up on the back end, and they're a little shaky, obviously.
Pass rush has been solid. I think that now you've got Rousseau coming back healthy and really playing well. He complements Bosa very, very well. I think those two are working good together. Ed Oliver tonight, he has a sack, 2 tackles for loss. He showed up in his first game back. I think that, heck, if Deion Walker keeps playing the way he's playing, who knows, although he's not a pass rush threat really. But no, again, we talked about it earlier. I don't see this defensive line as being the issue. We've Bean wanted to fix it, and he fixed it. Now, he didn't fix it probably with the guys he thought they were going to fix it, but it is better than it was last year.
Yeah. If there's any case to be made, like, again, at the end of the season, we do this kind of thing, it might just be too many pieces to try to fix that and not enough competition in the secondary. I mean, you could have drafted a safety in the 3rd round, somebody else to get back there if you need it, a linebacker or something like that. Instead, I've got a 3rd-round pick in Landon Jackson that doesn't play. Last year's 3rd-round pick is on IR. If he wasn't hurt, he'd be in the mix too, and maybe also being healthy scratched, while Hoyt and Ogunjobi both come back. Like, listen, it's nice to throw a lot at the wall to try and make sure you're going to fix your front 4 and successfully doing that, but it's the old rob Peter to pay Paul. Like, the secondary probably needed more work than they gave it. They brought back everybody, and Trey White was the big addition. Of course, Max Hairston, the one big number. Dorian Strong, okay, but I just feel like they needed help in the safety room, and they punted on it.
I think the variable there that you didn't expect was whatever the heck happened to Taylor Rapp, who I know that he always has had haters, but he has haters because of friendly fire, not because he's not a reasonably good football player. He's always been at least a sufficient level starter. For him to have this level of regression, for Christian Benford to play nowhere near the standard that he showed for 2 years. And then, like you're counting on a young player in Cole Bishop to take a step, and you pick a corner in the 1st round, and it's like so much of that's not doing what it's supposed to do. No. And they've had injuries, right? I mean, that's what's so hard about like processing this defense, which again, I think did what it needed to do in the second half, but you went out and made all these investments defensively, and you've gotten some snaps from TJ Sanders when he talks like the premium stuff. Bosa obviously has been out there, but you haven't had Hoyt, you haven't had Ogunjobi, you haven't had Maxwell Hairston. Landon Jackson's now played like 30 snaps. So there's a lot of these investments that you made that just haven't been there, or have been obviously young players that haven't quite made the impact. Shout out Deion Walker. You're doing the thing.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. Think about it. Of all the investments you made, you can't go against injury, but the guy that's making the biggest splash is a dude that had a pars fracture and played half crippled his senior year in college. And now he's healthy and playing well. That's your impact player, a 4th-round pick, as opposed to anybody else. And that's wild. And I know a lot of it's luck, a lot of it's injury, but still, that's crazy.
So the standings, it's one of those mornings where you might wake up and see Patriots fans screenshotting the standings. New England is atop the AFC East, and the Bills are in a wild card spot, which, they beat Baltimore, the magical comeback. They get a couple wins start the season. we're taking calls on WGR, guys. Can they go undefeated? And now they're in a wild card spot. And that, I don't know if that's the thing that would make it sobering for a lot of Bills fans, because New England looked good. They play Tennessee next. They could get a 1.5 game lead. The Bills will play the Chiefs in a couple of weeks. It's a real race for this division now. And Joe, I want to say, like, it's not only a real race because of the standings and New England beat you, but like, you're talking Bills on fraud watch. Like,
yeah,
the division streak is up there. It's up for grabs.
For sure. And I think that's probably what is frustrating about this team right now is you're looking at some up and coming teams and you're losing to them, right? You just lost to Atlanta. You just lost to New England. And New England's got Tennessee, Cleveland, Atlanta as their next 3. They get the Jets, they get the Bengals, they get the Giants, they get the Jets and Dolphins again, right? Like, they're going to stack wins, and it's going to be on you to win football games. Like, you got to beat New England later on at their place in a game that, it's tough. Take care of your business and hope that the New England Patriots show some signs of being a young team. And obviously they win 25-19, and certainly the Saints had their opportunities, but they're winning, right? Like, and they have their signature win against the Bills. They smoked the Panthers. The New England Patriots are coming, right? And the Bills have got a lot to prove here down the stretch, or else all of those streaks come to an end, and you're looking at road playoff games throughout.
I got a pretty good handle on McDermott. I kind of know him as far as mentally and things like that. And I guarantee you the last thing they're talking about is standings. Bills shouldn't even be thinking about standings, because that's not what they need to be worried about. They need to worry about themselves. They need to fix themselves first before they worry about standings, worrying about winning the division, all those different things. They've got so many internal problems, they shouldn't even care about where they are in the standings, because if they don't fix themselves, it doesn't matter. And I think that's what the message is going to be, loud and clear through the bye week into the week leading up to the Carolina game. They've got to figure out themselves internally. They got to figure out deep inside what they're about and what they can do and who they can rely on and who they can't rely on, and get ready for this middle part of the season. That's what needs to happen. Who cares about standings? If they can't play any better than they did the last 2 weeks, doesn't matter.
I think you're right about that, Jerry. I mean, no team's ever won the division in week 6. They don't give out the NFL MVP award after week 6. None of that stuff happens. And I think that's where, the team needs to be thinking about that. But I think from our perspective, we are allowed to zoom up and zoom out and look at the big picture. Yeah. It's like, you got a battle on your hands right now, and you're in second place, and you got to go to New England and win that football game. And they look better than you when they came to your house.
It's true. We've seen situations like this in the past after the Jaguars lost over in England and the losses and having to win late in the season and those types of things. They can get it done. But the biggest thing is they got to get healthy and all that. But you're right. I mean, that's something we can look at, and that's something we can think about. But I don't think as a team you're worried about it.
That the Bills, unfortunately, throughout this reign where we thought that they could win the Super Bowl, they've been 7-5, they've been 4-2. This stuff is not uncommon.
This isn't foreign.
But what's different is you feel like there's another team in your division that's obviously looks pretty solid. So. Right. I think that's what kind of creates the urgency in our minds.
And the other one of the other top dogs in the league, Kansas City's in no different situation. Probably a harder situation considering they got Denver and Los Angeles. So it's part of being part of getting everybody's best shot every week, right? You talk about it every week, Joe.
Chiefs look good lately. They just have wins, beat the Lions, beat the Ravens like the Bills did, but they beat the Lions in a game at home, and we'll see what they do from here. The Chiefs, Bills and Chiefs could be a big one. As we're talking about the division race and the Patriots and how this could all shake out, I wonder about McDermott here. Jerry, you're saying McDermott as a guy, how he operates. This game will shake me because of how it shook him. I'll give you 2 examples. This is our McDermott's worst day little bullet point here on our background board. So I told you guys, it's pretty consistent that on the 4th down fancy math win percentage, Sean McDermott does not give up a point of win probability. It doesn't even matter if you like it. I'm just telling you, this is what this coach does all the time. He does not punt and give up 1 point more than 1 point of win probability. He did that twice in this game, once giving up nearly 4 points of win probability. They're down 7, 4th and 5 in the fourth quarter with 10 minutes to go. And another one, he gave up 3.1. A combined 7 points of win probability given up. The guy never does this anymore. This is the McDermott you saw kick field goals in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. He doesn't do it. And maybe it's one game, but I know a lot of people like to call and say how he's too conservative. He's this and this and this. He is consistently one of the best. In the last 5 years, he's behind only Dan Campbell in when to go for it. And did he ever shrink tonight? Maybe it's because his defense is so banged up. Maybe it's because they don't have anybody they can throw the ball to. Like, if you want to tell me there's a reason why, I'll listen to it. But, man, it's a really rough night for him in terms of giving his team the best chance to win by the numbers of it.
I'll give you an example. I mean, this is what I talk about all the time. At some point, the analytic guy has to have a gut feeling. And if you watch that like we did, and you watch Bijan going for what he went for, and the defense having a hard time stopping people and not being able to get open on offense, and watching them blitz after blitz after blitz, and our quarterback that normally gets away from it, not getting away from it, to me, in his mind, he probably said it's probably a better chance to go for it on 4th and 2 or 3 than to punt it and try to do it again. I think that's how I look at this. I look at it as this is the situation when I talk about, yeah, at some point you got to have that feeling to do it. I thought he felt that tonight. I think he felt the need to take the chance.
These fourth quarter drives are disgusting. 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. 3 plays, 0 yards, punt. Like, just
your defense got stops too.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a blocked field goal in there. There's a blocked field goal, punt, hold to a field goal. Like, again and again, your defense in the second half got stops, and you just couldn't do anything. The 4th and 2, once they turned over on the 4th and 2, there's another one. They went for that one, 4th and 2, where Josh tried the flip pass to Ty Johnson.
That's regular, dude.
Yeah, right. He had plenty of time. I thought they were going to run QB power there. I was convinced that's what they were going to run. Right. And they don't appear to be wanting to do that right now. We'll find out if he's injured, right? Maybe
he said he's not. He's not. Yeah.
He tends to do that.
Yeah, of course.
And then he wears a brace out there on the next game. So,
right.
All right. He says he's not. We'll get some comments in. Bills fall 24-14. Get you some stats of this game as well. Your third down numbers, your team stats, bye week for the Bills. And it's going to be a tough pill to swallow to go on a 2-game losing streak to the bye. We'll step aside, and when we return, your comments, fire off some comments to us. We'll get to some, and drop us a like, give us a subscribe. It's the post game here. Bills fall to Atlanta, and this is the Bill Squad Show. This episode brought to you by FanDuel. That's right, FanDuel Sportsbook with Locked On. Here's how it works. You go to FanDuel and place a bet on a game. And right now, if you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. What do you like about FanDuel? What do I like about FanDuel? What do you like? I like lots of things. I like the parlays. I like the live betting as well. I like seeing a game like this one, how it's going to play out, and thinking maybe Drake London's going to go off for a big number because he can't really cover him on any play. So you live bet his number up there, and it makes football watching even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started with FanDuel. Back here on the Locked On Bills podcast and the Bill Squad Show. Jeremy White, the Big O, Jerry Ostroski, and Joe Marino, and trying to sift through some of your comments here as we get to all these. You guys want to? What went right? Deion Walker, who's in second place? Rousseau.
Yeah, I thought Rousseau played really well tonight.
Third quarter and early fourth quarter running game went really right.
Yeah. How do you hit? I mean, Palmer, 2 targets. I mean, 2 monster catches.
Yep.
Ray Davis helped the team tonight.
Yep.
Quick clarification on the Palmer injury. So, in real time, many wondered, was that a hip drop tackle? And that was not a hip drop tackle. The defender does drop down their body weight, but the illegal portion of that tackle, if it were to be flagged a hip drop, would be if he dropped his body weight onto Palmer's legs. Palmer got kind of twisted up, but it was definitely not a hip drop tackle, not a missed call by any stretch. So anyway, just wanted to make that point. All right, to some of the comments here. Dick Juan writes in, fire McDermott, fire the DC, fire Bean, fire the OC, fire the DC, bring in Leslie Frazier, upgrade assistant OC, bring back Rex Ryan.
You lost me. You had me right until the Rex Ryan part. I thought it was a great take.
Well, I think, the reason I put that up there was just Bills fans are really going to be feeling this one.
Oh, yeah, no
like,
doubt. Yeah.
They're going to be feeling this one. And whether it's Bean, McDermott, Bobby Babich, Joe Brady, like Jerry, you said it, they're coming for coaches in the next 2 weeks.
Well, they're coming for coaches, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think McDermott's going to be coming for some people too. I think there's going to be some that staff meeting is going to be tough. You might see something. I don't know. I just have a weird feeling you might see something.
Does this feel like a head's got a roll type game? Like
yeah. I mean, the only thing that's keeping me from saying definitely yes is how do you penalize somebody when you're playing with, roster member number 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, right? That's the only thing that I think keeps me from, but maybe like heads don't roll as they leave. Maybe McDermott, I don't know, pushes some responsibilities or takes some I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes. I could see McDermott calling the defense. That's the thing that I could maybe see, which is interesting because I think Elena Getzenberg of ESPN put out a really good article today about Sean McDermott and his own evolution, and he talked about play calling and defense. He's like, I can't be the best head coach that I can be if I'm also the defensive coordinator. Like he come out and like there's good quotes on that. I was like, makes sense. And he felt like the best thing that he needed to be for the team was to focus more on the mindset of the team, right? And those types of elements and not so much in the X's and O's piece. And I mean, I'm sure it's got to be difficult for Sean McDermott as a defensive-minded coach to see this happen, right? Like you're good defenses can take away something, right? Like something. This team doesn't take away anything. You knew, and I said in the podcast, like I expected Robinson and London to make plays. That's not surprising me. That'd be a little more back and forth, maybe a little resistance, like maybe make them be a little bit more special. And this defense just didn't take away anything. And I think it's a fair point, Jerry. Like I think Bobby Babich's defense has been undermanned since he started. Like last year, that defense didn't have the talent. They were injured like crazy, right? Rousseau and Jones were the only two starters to not miss at least one game due to injury. And now you're here. You're right here again, right? You're right here in the same spot with potentially even more injuries. And it's like, well, I'd like to see what he can do, but like I said the other day, I don't think this Bills defense has been at full strength since like 2021.
No.
So like that's part of the deal. It's a hard hand to be dealt this early in your tenure, but it's like, man, I wish I knew what this guy really had. I don't feel like I do.
Well, I think part of the joke is about the practice squad stuff and like, you say this defense since 2021. Well, a bunch of the guys from that defense are still on it.
Right. Yeah. I don't think they're supposed to be.
No, they're not supposed to be. And I feel like we've kind of gotten back to when the Bills brought in Jordan Phillips and Jordan Poyer and Gabe Davis. And Gabe Davis, by the way, is he playing after the bye? He might. He's got to get healthy himself. Yeah. He's got to get healthy himself, but he's your Josh Palmer replacement possibly, and he doesn't beat man coverage, so that's a problem. But I feel like this gets to when the three of us talked about Phillips and Poyer coming back to this practice squad. To me, even though they weren't going to be regulars, it was troubling because it means old. Oh, they get the system. Okay, I get it. But there's just no ceiling anywhere. There's no, oh, look, this young player who plays with his hair on fire. Or it felt like that was going back to the well one too many times. And here we are. They are having to go to these guys. And I guess Poyer might have played pretty well. But still, like I don't like it. I'm nervous about it. It makes me feel like they're old and slow, and we're talking about them being soft. And this defense just lacks juice. And bringing those guys back to me was never going to give you juice.
Guys, it's hard. It's hard when you get old. It really is, man. And these guys still have it in their minds. They still see it. They still want to go do it, but the body betrays you. It's part of life, right? And it's funny how this Bills team has done a flip of what they did last year. Last year, they jettison off 6-7 guys and get younger, right? They make cap room by moving older guys and get younger. And this year, even though a lot of them are on the practice squad, we're bringing back a whole bunch of old guys. And I don't know. I'm just a believer in like Jordan Hancock's of the world and guys like that. And of course, Dorian Strong, if he was healthy,
too, right?
He's hurt. He would be another one, right? I mean, we're seeing it with Walker. He's got an opportunity. And what's funny is the opportunity he got is kind of fell in his lap, right? We just had depth issues. He started playing and he's run with it. And, some other guys haven't. But, yeah, man, it's hard. And like Joe said, they're extremely limited. But when you look at these if you make changes and things, this is the natural spot in the schedule, right? You got a 2-game losing streak. You got a bye week, so you got 14 days or more. It just kind of all fits.
One more comment, one or two more. Here's one. Can you guys touch on any potential trade targets and at what positions, or is this just the squad this year? Have any names top of mind you want to mention? I think corner is the number one. They have to do it, and then I might put safety and receiver behind that. But for me, it's corner and Tariq Woolen's somebody we've talked about. Not really the fit that you love. Any other names, Joe? Have anybody that kind of you're watching or scouting?
The name I brought up a couple weeks ago was Cam Taylor-Britt of the Bengals. He's a young player, and he's been benched by the Bengals, so that doesn't make you feel great, but young and has some upside, and you could look at him for a year. I think what's challenging is you just made a long-term commitment to Christian Benford, and you just drafted Maxwell Harrison in the first round. So any investment that you make is not really going to do much more than keep the seat warm until you can get Harrison ready to go, because that is your plan. Your plan is Harrison and Bedford. So I think that makes it pretty complicated. And, do they trust any safety to come in here and play without not only maybe not to be funny, but a full off season or a time in the room with Boyer and
a 6-week retreat with Sean McDermott.
Right. What does it take for a safety to come in and play? When they've had to do it, it's been Dean Marlowe or who was it, Keon Coleman, these guys that have been with Sean McDermott, right? They bring back Micah Hyde, they bring back Jordan Poyer. So I'm not expecting that. I know everyone wants Justin Simmons. I'm just not expecting that to happen. And then is there always just the case and where it's not necessarily about making a trade to help your team at a position of need? Of course you would want that, but just to get talent, right? Just to get something to help you. I could be convinced of that, right? Maybe you don't need a receiver. I don't know. You probably do need a receiver, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the thing that's what you deem the most significant need. It's where can you just add talent that makes sense based on what you have to give up, what you're bringing on. I think that's something you have to think about as well.
And the other thing is this: when you make trades, you have to admit mistakes, and some people don't like to admit mistakes. And that's a big part of this as well. When you start making trades in the middle of the season, that shows you were deficient in what you built in the first place. And I know there's a lot of injuries and stuff, but still, there's part of that as well. And I think you have to look at that factor. But if we're going to make a trade, I would probably make a trade at receiver before I made a trade at DB, because like Joe said, I agree with him. You got Hairston in the wings waiting. You got other guys that can play. You want these dudes to progress. And if you bring a guy in for a trade, it's really just a stopgap.
Yeah.
But if you can find somebody at receiver, they might actually stick and actually help over time.
The challenge, and Bean has said this, if they trade for somebody, they like to have contract control beyond this year, right? That was the messaging with the Nyheim Hines deal. Same thing with Rasul Douglas. And then they didn't get that with Amari Cooper. And then you gave up a 3rd-round pick for Amari Cooper for however many games he played. And of course he was injured as well. And so I think that's the challenge, is who's the play? Yeah, I think you need to ask yourself, if you're thinking about realistic trade targets for the Bills, who's also signed through next year where that player could be part of that formula. I think that's what makes it pretty tricky.
And props to Nyheim Hines, who played football this past weekend and made a big play.
Been a journey. Yeah.
Yep. Good for him.
All right, gentlemen, final thoughts as the Bills will go to the bye week in the wild card spot. They could get the division lead back if New England loses. They're playing Tennessee, who just fired their coach.
Get the bump. Get the 1-game bump, right? Let's go.
You never know. You never know. I did not see who's taking over on an interim basis yet.
Mike McCoy.
Okay, Mike
You
McCoy.
fire a coach, and the guy you fired before him's coming back to play the team that he used to coach. I mean, how about that storyline?
Well, they weren't going to, they weren't going to lose to Vrabel and then fire the coach. You got to do it beforehand, right?
Right.
Yeah. A Vrabel revenge game. Vrabel 4-2 for the Patriots, an early candidate for coach of the year. You go from 3 wins in a whole season to 4 wins already, and atop the AFC East for now. We'll be back in midweek. It's a bye week, so maybe some real introspection from the Bills and what they're going to do here. They lose to the Falcons. Final score, 24-14. The defense gives up 3 points in the second half, and the offense can never get it going. Total yards in this game, Atlanta 443. Buffalo
335 at halftime, by the way.
335 at halftime. They averaged 6.7 yards per play, but in the first half it was crazy good. Both teams go 0 for 1 on 4th down. Maybe if Josh Allen has a regular throw to Ty Johnson, things go differently. It was not Allen's finest moment. All right. With that, we will say goodnight and be with you this week. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Make sure you're locked into the Locked On Bills channel. Of course, make Joe your first listen. I'll be getting up real early and listening to Joe talk about this game again.
I'll be staying up real late talking more about this game.
There you go.
And I'm going to get up real early and listen to Jeremy on Audacity and then listen to Joe.
There you go. Talking Bills in the wild card spot. But hey, whatever. Last year they lost weeks 4 and 5, right? Or 5 and 6, whatever, and then got blown out in Baltimore. It was all a mess. Lost in Houston and then kind of, turned it around. We'll see what happens here. Bills lose, final score. That's it for us. We'll talk to you midweek. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.